Excellent. So for the rest of this time, we're going to be recording. I do ask that you stay muted if you are not participating and speaking, or you're not clarifying a question. You can use the meeting chat function to ask questions as we go forward. And I will be actually copying questions out. So if our speakers don't see your question, don't get to the question, don't worry, I'll be copying those out. We'll save them for the end for the open Q&A for everybody. And the slides you see, and slides that are presented by our speakers, I'm going to collect those this week, and I'll send out a message to the RSVP group that has links for all of those, as well as a quick survey to see how we did today. I do want to talk about the guiding principles for our meetup, and this is the 4 I's. The first is basically information. We hope that you actually are going to learn something. That's kind of why we come to meetups and why we're here. The second is inclusion. So we hope that you're represented, empowered, and welcomed, not only by the speakers, but also by the other folks in the room with us. The third is insight. It's fine to know that internships exist, and here's how to get them. Why do they exist, and why do I care? These are important questions to ask in technology. It's important questions to ask in our employment endeavors as well. And lastly is inspiration. So if we have all of the rest of these I's and we don't actually do anything different after this, we haven't quite made the mark yet. So if you are someone applying for internships and you are hitting a wall, or you don't know how to get started, hopefully this is going to be the spark that gets you going. If you do know, but you're having trouble, hopefully there's going to be some tips and tricks in here that help you move forward and do so and land that internship you want. Our agenda today is going to be fairly straightforward. I'm going to hand things over to the smart people. That would be Kathy at T-Mobile, Sean from Expedia Group, and Shamari, who has had an internship at both Amazon and Oracle. Kevin, unfortunately, Kevin Lim from NBC is unable to attend because he's ill. I will be putting together a few notes that I will send out in the email that he provided. And he sends his regrets and hopes that he can participate in a future meetup. And then after we have our introductions and a first take at answering the questions, we're going to do an open Q&A for all of the speakers all at once. And so again, as you submit those questions, I'll be taking them. I have a few questions that I got ahead of time from folks that RSVP'd to the meetup, and I will share those as we have time today. All right. And you're going to hear these maybe repeated a little bit, but these are the questions that we posed to our speakers and put up in the meetup. And the first is basically, why should we even participate in a tech internship? This can be both from the intern side and the company side. What does the internship application cycle and timeline look like? This is going to vary a little bit by some of the organizations you're going to hear from. Where do you actually find these internships, in location or through people? What are the differences between paid versus unpaid? It's not quite so trivial sometimes. Internships versus apprenticeships versus co-ops, even less obvious. And lastly, how do we actually stand out? Some of these positions, you might be 1 in 100, you might be 1 in 1,000, you might be 1 in 10,000. How do you stand out? How do you land that internship that you're actually after? All right, that was very quick. So if anytime you have questions, or if I've rapidly gone through things, feel free to ask questions in the meeting chat, and I can get back to you directly. Or if you want to share them for everybody, you can make sure that they're marked for everyone. And as always, please, if you have come directly to the Zoom room, please sign up at North Seattle Tech Talks on the meetup group. This way you get the updates. I don't spam the group very often, once a month at MAC. So this month we'll be just sending out the update after this meetup with all the notes and the recording. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here. And all right, Kathy, if you are ready, I'm going to hand things over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Welcome, everyone. My name is Kathy Jackson. I'm actually going to start. I'm going to try to share here. Hold on. Okay, let's see, let me put this in presentation mode. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Look good.
Can you see it?
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. Thank you. So again, my name is Kathy Jackson. I am a director at T-Mobile. I have been with T-Mobile for a little over 8 years. It was 8 years this past summer. And I have been working in technology for, let's just say, on the plus side of 20 years. So we will like start from there, and I'll kind of give you a little bit of my journey and then actually talk about internship at T-Mobile. So I currently am working in a team which might be understood as kind of big data. So we are in the enterprise data organization, and my role is to identify, to transform, and to collect data that we use in order to make business decisions in the company. So that is anything from, what our sales have been, what our problems, our challenges have been, what our customers are reporting as challenges. What we want to do is make sure that we are engaging in the right way so that as a customer re-engages with us, that their experience is basically, we want to surprise and wow. We want to make that experience very, very, very personal and very what we call contextual, meaning it is aligned to that individual and makes sense to that individual. We're not sending ads to an iPhone user that are all about Android devices, and vice versa. We're not sending iPhone ads to an Android user. And we're sharing things that make sense at the time. Like if you're experiencing problems on your phone, we're not trying to upsell you or sell you some new device or things like that. So it's all about collecting the right data so that we can have the right conversations. And that's kind of what I've been working on within the marketing and digital teams for the past few years. How I got involved in internships at T-Mobile is I actually have been running an internship that is specifically aimed at high school students, but I have been very active in just internships in general. And so I want to thank Steve for inviting me to talk about how do we kind of bring in great talent. And I am going to presume that everyone on this call is interested in taking their next step and potentially going into an internship. So at T-Mobile, we run our internships throughout the summer. Just in general, they are paid. They are actually very well paid. You start at the beginning of the summer, right around end of May time, like the last week in May, and go all the way through August. That internship includes alignment with a particular team for the entire 12-week period, as well as what we call executive series type chats. So you actually, as an intern, get to actually physically have interaction with our C-suite, which, to be frank, a lot of employees don't get that opportunity. So to kind of have that is a big plus, I think, because you get to hear the heart of T-Mobile, what our strategy is, where we're trying to move, how you can engage, whether that is in tech or whether that is in marketing or HR or any of the other back offices, legal, things like that. We actually have internships across the entire spectrum. My area obviously is in STEM, but we have the other internships as well. The internships, as I mentioned, is a 12-week. And what typically happens is that we open up the applications very early in the year. So around January, February. By the second week in February, they're flooded with applications, and it's I would say very difficult to get in after that. So if you're interested, go in early and put in your application. If you're interested, I would say take the time to really spell out where you want to work, because it's not just getting a job, they're really looking for people who are beyond the internship, are interested in engaging with T-Mobile long term. So it is one of those things that we want to find people who might consider us a good fit, and we'll invest that time in them. That makes sense. And so when you're going in and you're apply for the area you want. If you think, hey, I want to really be in marketing, that's what I would actually target. I think the internship application is very generic, but state your passion, state your desire, and put that out there. If you get accepted, which hopefully you will, if you really want it, you will start with back and forth within HR and your hiring manager. And your hiring manager will work with you on what's expected over the summer. They will partner you with a kind of a magenta partner, because a lot of managers are very busy. So they want to make sure that you get the most out of the experience. And so they will partner with you and actually start to engage even pre-internship. So that by the time you hit the ground, you're hitting the ground with a lot of early understanding about what you're going to be working on. You can, and hopefully get the fullest experience. Then when you start, you can actually work, like I said, in all areas, but you can also work in almost every state within the United States. So we do have people who may work in, we have 2 headquarters, Bellevue and Kansas City, Kansas, but we have offices, major offices in probably 35 of the 50, of the United States. And so, if it's like, hey, I want to work in DC, we have our government offices there. We have offices in Virginia and Atlanta and Florida, Denver, all over. Anyway, I'll let you go. So it's possible that you could be working somewhere else for the summer, which I think is pretty cool as well. Okay, I'm trying to go back, Steve, to your questions about what it is that you should be looking for. And I think like I was saying, really what it is you want to go after the job that you really want to be in. But say you get into the internship and you realize, like, I kind of went into HR, but it's not really working for me. Throughout your college program, you can actually attend our internships multi-year, and maybe possibly because you've been in before, you actually have a heads up on getting in again and possibly trying another area. So I said a lot in a few minutes. Are there any questions?
I didn't see anything new in the chat, but I'm going to give folks a minute.
I have a question, Mark.
Yes.
For the internships, is that just for students?
When you say students, are you just talking about
like
college
high school students?
We have multiple flavors of our internship. So we do have a high school internship program, but we also have a college internship program. So you do have to be enrolled in school in some form.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And in the chat, we have a question: are there internships available for developers? Which I know the answer.
Yes, that's my area. Yes, we actually have a number of different programs, and we have internships that are geared towards a full stack developer. We have internships that are geared towards data engineers or data scientists, which is kind of in my area. There is probably, I have yet to hear of an area that we do not have an internship that's supported.
And we had a question on the timing. Applications open Gen 1. Is that what was said?
I would start looking, and if you look at my screen right now, it's tmobile.careers/internships. You'll see the jobs kind of come up when they open up the window. I would say it's usually end of January. I can't tell you the exact dates because they really don't give it to us, but I would just start looking around that time, probably maybe once a week from the end of January to end of February, you should see something.
And question on, are internships only available to students who are planning to return to school after the internship?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are internships available for hybrid or remote work?
Due to COVID, we've gotten very creative. So what I would say is I would actually apply and request it, right? We do have some managers. T-Mobile is a multi, it's a geo-dispersed
right.
workforce. And so, like right now, I actually have team members that are in 5 states that I manage. And so you just, depends on the manager and how they want to work it.
Right.
Some jobs, I'll be very honest, that manager might say, no, I need that person to be on site all the time.
Yeah. There's a question specifically about Western Governors University, Deshawn, and I believe I can answer that yes. That is, any acceptable baccalaureate, granting institution or even associate's granting institution should definitely be included. And then a question on if there's front-end internships. I've had students go to the T-Mobile internship program with front-end development. So I'm assuming that still is correct, Kathy?
What's that?
Front-end development. So I'm assuming they're in the web front-end or mobile front-end.
Or mobile front-end, yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, T-Mobile
question
has
on
multiple web sites, multiple apps. So
excellent. Do you have spring internships?
So there is a master's degree program that's a little bit different, and it goes for a longer period of the year. It's actually kind of partial work, partial internship, where you're kind of employed, you're kind of going to school. It's a little bit different. I would reach out and just ask questions in that T-Mobile.careers internship to see what exactly is available. I did not see the master's program last year, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be up this coming year.
Okay. And then this was a high-level question that I think I'm going to ask again later, but it's good for everyone. What is some distinguishing characteristics for candidates that get in versus ones that don't?
Oh, so I will tell you, T-Mobile is all about passion and potential. So it's what you'll see is, there's a lot of really smart people who want to be a part of T-Mobile, but really it's like, how passionate are you about changing the experience for our customers, and how willing are you to kind of learn and grow and move that needle forward? And what I've seen in hiring managers are those people that are very, I would say, open to new challenges and questioning status quo, and willing to learn and be open to new opportunities, and not so stagnant in, what a current course of action, usually kind of rise to the top. T-Mobile is a very energized brand. I put that picture on there because we talk about this a lot, that we bleed magenta, and it's a very energized location. What you're seeing is actually kind of the way it is on campus. It's pink, it's loud, it's, people having a good time. We want to enjoy the work as we're doing it.
That's fantastic. More questions coming in. Are there internships? You kind of answered this. Are there internships available for freshmen and sophomores as well as juniors and seniors?
There is a internship, we call it Explorer. So if you go onto the T-Mobile.careers internships, it's called Explorer. It is for entering freshmen into college. I will say there's kind of a the Explorer program. You can do your summer before your freshman year and the summer after your freshman year. So it's a 2-year opportunity. But there really isn't a lot that kind of just starts at your sophomore year. Unfortunately,
Right.
It's like coming out of high school and then going into your junior years, pretty much where some of the 12-week programs really start to focus on.
Okay. There was a question on pursuing a specific degree. So do these positions ask you for degree X, degree Y?
No, not specifically, because, I will be honest with you, I have people in my organization now who are in a data scientist, but they actually started out in vet school. So
Right.
who knows, anthropology, there's a lot of psychiatrists and psychologist degrees in tech, which is very interesting, but I think it's actually useful. And so, yeah, I don't think it really matters.
Okay. And I'm going to paraphrase this question. They were asking about design certificates, like a UX design certificate. I'm going to also tack on like a student who was in a boot camp or something like that. Is that considered acceptable, or do you need to be enrolled in an institution?
Usually I will say most of the time it's an institution unless there's a very specific program. And right now, the only specific programs that I am aware of is the dual career in high school that we run, as well as there might be some apprenticeships that are they're doing proof of concepts right now. So they're hard to come by. You can see it, act on it, but I haven't seen it widely rolled out yet.
Okay. And last question, I think, and then we'll go to our next speaker. Do you accept international students, students on a work visa?
Yes, we do.
Wonderful. Okay. That was a good run. Thank you so much, Kathy. And please stick around for the Q&A.
I will.
After,
I'll be out here.
other folks. Awesome.
I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you so much. All right. Sean, I think you are up next. If you'd like to take over control of the screen.
Awesome, thank you, and Kathy, thank you for sharing your background and your details. It's a little unique when you have these two people in a certain space. So, as Kathy mentioned, she's more so on the business side of what they do in tech recruiting and hiring. I'm a recruiter, so I manage everything from a early careers recruitment perspective. So let me just quickly share a little bit about myself, and then I'll walk through some of the opportunities here at Expedia Group, what we do, what we have to offer, what does the process looks like. Then I'll just jump into a few of the questions that we have scheduled for today. So let me know when you are able to see my screen. Can you see it? Perfect. So first and foremost, my name is Sean B. I am born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. I spent a few summers elsewhere outside of Chicago, but for the most part, I'm always here in Chicago. So for you all, it might be 6 p.m. It's 8 p.m. for me. No worries. I absolutely love doing what I do. I graduated from a small Catholic school on the southwest side of Chicago called St. Xavier University. There I got my undergraduate degree in history and then my graduate degree in human resources and management. So just highlight some of my favorite things. Food, I love pad thai. I can probably enjoy pad thai at least once a week. There are several places in Seattle, by the way, that has fabulous pad thai. I'll almost definitely drop some in the chat for you all. My favorite TV show of all time is Sopranos. It's a drama, early HBO timeline, so pretty cool. Favorite movie is a little warm and fuzzy for me. It's called The Intern, starring Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway. It's a little different spin on Robert De Niro movies because he typically starred in a little bit more of the grittier crime type movies. And this one, he is a older person who's actually doing a internship as a senior. So it's a really cool movie, real warm and fuzzy. Take a look at it. Sometimes you'll see it on TBS or TNT some days. Jump into the favorite things about myself. I absolutely love travel. I know you see my background and you see Expedia Group and you see we power global travel for everyone, everywhere. That is a true mantra for myself. I absolutely love to travel. My favorite travel destination for my family is New Orleans. We go at least once a year. The pandemic slowed that down for us just a tad bit, but we always find our way back. I'm really big into sports. Let me tell you how much I absolutely love doing what I'm doing. It is Monday Night Football, and I am here with you all, and you all have my undivided attention. But with that said, my favorite sports team of all time is the Chicago White Sox. Diehard baseball fan. For you all there in Seattle, I know this past season with the Mariners, it was great to see you all back in the postseason. It got close. If you're a baseball fan like me, you just don't like the Houston Astros because of the cheating scandal from a few years ago. So we'll just say they cheated, and that's how they beat you all. It had nothing to do with the talent on the field. But good luck moving forward. Yeah, just to quickly snapshot, as you can see from the pictures there, absolutely love my family. That's the main thing that you see there. I love my wife, Ashley, and my daughter, Alice. They are my true biggest inspiration, my motivators. One of the reasons why I do a lot of things that I do there. And as you can see, I love to travel. My wife and I in New Orleans, and also a few years ago, combining that travel component with baseball. I was a Chicago White Sox fan in a sea of New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. We lost, but nonetheless, I enjoyed myself. But enough about me. Let me talk to you a little bit about my career and what I do here at Expedia Group. I've been in the early careers recruiting space for approximately about 7 or 8 years. I initially got my start in Oracle. At Oracle, I did a ton of recruiting across consulting, sales, and technical recruiting. I took a little hiatus from the tech space and went to a little bit more of the financial industry, the financial institution industry. And then I found myself back at Expedia Group this past year. I've been here for approximately a year. I absolutely love tech recruiting. This is one of the most unique and most creative industries that you can find, where you have just a robust amount of talent. Here at Expedia Group, we offer a variety of opportunities, and I'll share a few of them with you all right here. But you'll see some of the programs that we have to offer. We offer an apprenticeship program, summer internships, a graduate rotation program, and also an externship opportunity called Career Discovery Program. All of these programs here are to offer a wide variety of early careers opportunities for anyone who's at a certain point in their academic career. You'll see there the apprenticeship program. This is for someone who's truly at a community college level, or who have some level of technical skills, who's looking to get further into the tech space. We are actually going to start to open our apprenticeship program in the next coming couple weeks here. It is going to go live on Expedia Group's career website. I'll make sure I connect with Steve after this and get you all access to once it's live. In addition to that, we offer a summer internship program. This is typically for your third year students pursuing a 4-year degree. The summer internship is approximately 10 weeks long. We do it over a period of time, timelines. It is an incredible opportunity to truly get in, learn more, develop skills, and truly look for an opportunity to get a return offer. That is one of the things that we do with our interns. We look to return them, convert them over to full-time opportunities. You'll see the graduate program. It is called our Expedia Group Graduate Program, or EGGP. With our EGGP program, it is a rotation program. It's approximately 12 to 24 months, depending on the role. Most of our technical roles, it's 12 months. So essentially what you'll do is you'll spend 2 6-month rotations with Expedia Group on 2 different teams within your tech space. And then at that point there, at the end of that, the goal is to accelerate your career. So at the end of that 12 months, we want to promote you. So for example, if you start off as a software development engineer 1, by the end of that 12 months, we would want to see you at a software development engineer 2. And that's to truly help you launch your career, accelerate it, and get you to the next level so you can start to make a bigger impact there. And then lastly, I mentioned our externship opportunity. It's called Career Discovery Program. So this is typically for those incoming students, so those first-year students and those sophomores. This program right here is an opportunity where you'll spend a week with us, primarily virtual, with Expedia Group. And what we would do is we would go through a series of tech talks. We'll talk about our primary technical spaces, whether that's software development engineer, technical program management, product management, mobile engineering, just a host of things to truly highlight who we are and what Expedia Group has to offer. It's an incredible opportunity to start to learn a little bit more about Expedia Group. Cool opportunity about it for all sophomores that do apply to it, that's going into their 3rd year, that following year. We do fast track their application into those summer internship opportunities. So it's an incredible way to kind of get a head start there. Just to quickly talk through what the overall process looks like, one of the first things that you always do is connect with us in any format or fashion. This is a way that you can connect with us. Once you do submit an official application with the Expedia Group, you go through 2 things. You'll complete a technical, first a strength-based assessment. No right or wrong answers there. It's simply more so us identifying what your strength profile is, and we'll deliver that same report to you. So it takes approximately 25 minutes, but it just kind of narrowed down some things. Second to that would be a technical assessment. For software development engineers, this will be something along the lines of HackerRank. It could be something along the lines of HireVue on Demand as well, depending on the role that you're applying for. That assessment itself is an opportunity for you to truly show that you have the baseline understanding and the technical capabilities that we look for in our roles. And then lastly, what you'll see is an interview. We do a combination of both technical and behavioral interviews. So it's only 2 60-minute interviews to wrap that up. And then hopefully if you successfully cleared all of that, we will be extending you an offer to join us in one of our programs for the upcoming year. For our career discovery program, there is no application process for it at all. It is truly open to whoever is available and who's eligible for it. What we do is we invite you all to that session. And once you do officially sign on, we'll get you a calendar of events over that 1 week. It's an incredible opportunity. We just did it this past summer. We had hundreds of people join for North America. I am excited about it for this upcoming year because I am truly looking to add some in-office experiences here. So especially in the Seattle market, because that's where our global headquarters are. So it will be an opportunity for us to have you join and get to know a little bit more about Expedia Group. Lastly, I'm going to share some ways that you can connect with us, where you can learn a little bit more about Expedia Group. You can learn more about the program. So definitely visit us on all of these social media platforms. Definitely check out the blog, the career website. But if you also just say, hey, is Sean really just talking fabulous about Expedia Group, or do other people echo these similar sentiments? What you can do is you can check out our LinkedIn profile, our YouTube page, and you'll be able to see some of our early careers talent sharing their thoughts, their feelings, and their overall reviews with Expedia Group. We definitely do a summer internship blog every year. So this past summer summer interns day, that blog is up there. So it's a great opportunity to see what they were talking about, what are some of the incredible things that they do there. Kathy mentioned one thing, which is where are we located? So our global headquarters is Seattle. We also have 2 other destinations for any early careers talent, and that location is Chicago and Austin. So an opportunity to kind of spread out, and no matter where you are, we can also get you relocated to the best location for yourself. I can't go on without talking about some of the travel benefits that come with working for a travel tech company. So there are a wide variety of travel benefits. The thing that I enjoyed the most as a full-time employee is I do get 20% off of anything using any Expedia Group brand. So whether that's hotels.com, Orbitz, but just using the general Expedia Group app. So if I did decide, hey, I want to take my family somewhere and rent out a Vrbo, I can get 20% off of that. In addition to that, we do offer travel reimbursement to full-time employees as well. So it's up to, I believe, at very minimum, it's $1,250 a year that gets reimbursed back to you. For our summer interns, we do offer a similar offering. I think it's approximately $600 for a 10-week that we can give towards any of your travel expenses or just a flat out spot bonus. So that is the cool thing about the reimbursement package that we offer. Steve, before I kind of jump into some of the questions, I want to see, was there anything outstanding that I missed there?
I think you covered a lot of the things mentioned, and I want to give time for people to ask the questions in the chat. I did want to add that I've worked with students that had internships and converted to full-time jobs at both T-Mobile and at Expedia, so I can vouch that there are good places. And they had great experiences with both. A lot of people at T-Mobile, and a handful now, actually, I think we're up to like 5 or so in our little program at Expedia. So, and we have questions piling in, so awesome. Is the career discovery program offered only in the summer? Is the first question.
Yes, so it is a summer offering. We try to find the best time throughout the year to have students be available essentially for a week. Most of it you can volunteer for it. So if you do see some areas of the business where you just may not have the interest, you can, it's optional. With that said, we try to find the best time throughout the year, and summer tends to be the best time for students to avoid them missing out on anything from an academic perspective.
Right. And the next question is, when do you open applications for summer internships, which I believe the answer is already open.
Correct. Yes, they are already open. So if you go onto Expedia Group website, you will see the summer internship applications are open. If you do not see it, that means we probably had to slow down our pace there because we do receive thousands of applications. And I can highlight some of the creative ways that you can stay available, but I believe all of our summer internship offerings are still open.
Excellent. And advice to polish up the resume for recruiters for these roles?
Yes, so I'm going to say something is, I don't want to offend anyone, but keep it simple. Quite frankly, truly keep it simple. Highlight the main areas that we need to focus on. One of the things I've noticed with student resumes recently is they become a little too complicated. Who are you? Where are you from? What are your academic achievements? And then definitely jump right into those technical skills. For the most part, we'll probably receive thousands of applications. So if you do share some things, we probably won't get to it at that very initial screening as a recruiter. With that said, I do always look to add things about my personality on my resume. So I do advise that piece. So once you get towards that bottom, share a little bit about what your hobbies are, what are some of the fun things that you like to do. So cool ways to kind of bridge that connection.
Excellent. And this is a very specific question. I'm talking about someone who had applied for an internship. I believe this is one of the development ones, and had a must-have 2 years experience for full stack internship. Will having less than this disqualify me?
No, so we do have for for most of our roles, we do look for folks with less than 2 years of overall experience. And the primary reason why is the job level that we will offer you into at the graduate program. We do want to be mindful. However, we do cut it close there. So we have had interns in the past with less than 2 years that were successful and that did receive a return offer.
All right. Other questions for Sean? I'll just comment, Sean, that when you're ready to take the family, when your daughter's old enough and you want to go to Thailand, I have some specific places to go to for pad thai that I can tell you about that are just outstanding and super, just amazing.
Yes, most definitely, please share them.
Another question, recommendations from a recruiter for establishing yourself after a coding boot camp rather than completing a CS degree?
Yeah, so I think for folks who haven't necessarily got there, there are a ton of opportunities for you to jump right into the tech space. As you can see, Expedia Group offers a host of them. I'm sure T-Mobile does, and other technical firms as well. There are a variety of ways to get involved. I definitely don't say limit yourself to what you see on the career website. That's where the professional networking piece has to come into play. Starting to develop relationships with the recruitment team and being able to kind of learn some different avenues. I myself, we tend to see a ton of exceptional, great talent come through what we would consider non-traditional routes. And whether that's a more experienced level of recruitment, early careers recruitment, we do see a variety of them come in from apprenticeships and folks who don't necessarily have the 4-year degree. A lot of this truly is dependent on your technical capabilities and your ability to essentially navigate a corporate space, just to be
Right.
honest.
A question on what would you value most as a recruiter when looking at the resume of candidates?
It depends on the role. However, the thing that truly stands out is where how creative or innovative they've been in their level of experience. So one of the things that we often encounter is folks will take the job description bullet points of an internship or any role, and they will list it there. So I did front-end engineering. One of the things that I always like to look for is the added value. So if you spend, I'll say, even 10 weeks or more with a company, what was the added value piece? Always add that to your resume. So yeah, let's highlight the 2 or 3 things that we probably already know based on the role, what you were doing. But what did you walk away and leave that firm with? So whether it was solving a problem or identifying a problem, those are some of the things that really stand out, because then we see things above and beyond. I know Kathy mentioned this as well, but one of the things that truly stand out for anyone who's looking to get in any opportunity, whether it's in tech or anywhere else, is truly someone who's going to challenge that status quo, who's going to look above and beyond just staying on that one track. And just essentially that person is looking to do their job every day. We're looking for someone to elevate over a period of time. So yeah.
Fantastic. And how long after completing a technical challenge for Expedia should I expect to hear back from a recruiter?
Yeah, so I would say approximately a week and a half to 2 weeks at the very most, depending on the role and the volume that we have. We'll probably have to sift through all of them and then take a quick snapshot. Once you do complete all of those things, the great thing is you're added to an interview pool. So we then just have to take a look at the overall head count demand essentially, and then determine who's going to be the best amount of people to push forward.
And are internships open to people who have gone back to school to get a tech certificate after a few years of work?
Depends on the type of work. So
Right.
if you are definitely switching over careers, yes, we are completely open to those opportunities and giving people the opportunity as they switch careers. We definitely see it in a lot of our other spaces. So one of the primary roles that we hire for is SDE, but we definitely have other roles in user experience, design, content, research, and we quite often see a host of people who have a experience doing something else. Quite often, primarily teachers.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, Sean. And again, please stick around for our open Q&A as well. And the sacrifice you're making today with Monday Night Football, I really I appreciate that. Awesome. Okay. And Shamari, if you are ready to take over, it is yours.
All right, sounds good. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Everybody can see my screen, right? Perfect. All right, so gonna be honest, it's gonna be a little bit different than the past 2 presentations. I just want to say thank you to Kathy and Sean a lot, though. Like, that was great and really informational. My presentation is gonna be a little bit different, not at the same level they are right now. But basically, my name is Shamari Walker. I'm a senior at Purdue University in Indiana, studying systems analysis and design with a minor in entrepreneurship. I'm from Hammond, Indiana, which is like Northwest Indiana, so like 30 minutes from Chicago. But I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about my story and just how I got where I'm at today, like having 3 internships in college and like basically having full-time jobs coming up right now. So basically it all started in 6th grade, actually. So I began programming and stuff, and like I had this class where basically we would just do Microsoft Word stuff, type things up, and it was nothing big. But then at the end, the teacher was like, "Oh, there's this website that lets you build your own like 2D video games through like drag and drop sequences. So pretty much if you guys have ever used like Scratch as a programming language before, it was pretty much like that. And I was pretty excited about that. You know, I really liked gaming at the time. So I was like, oh, I can like use my creativity to create something like this would be fun. And I pretty much worked on that the whole summer of 6th grade. And it got to a certain point to where I was like, I want to build better games. You know, I don't want to use this website anymore. I want to like build 3D games. I want to do all these different things. And I ended up Googling how to do that, and programming started coming up and like all these different engines you can use and everything. And that's when I found just general programming. And like I pretty much studied multiple programming languages throughout middle school just to learn how to build games. But it got to a point to in 8th grade, I was like, I can use this for something more than building games. And I started building my own apps. And once I started doing that, I realized like I'm not that big into game development anymore. I was like, I can build apps and like websites and all these things that can help people and make their lives easier. So started doing that. And then, you know, high school came around and 15-year-old kid, I'm like, oh, I can build these apps and stuff. Like I should be able to get an internship, right? And I started like trying to get internships and do that. And there was obviously a lot of barriers in the way. So age was one. I was only 15 at the time. Two, experience. I basically was building little apps in my room. It wasn't anything like I had like any industry experience yet. And then just trust, like trusting somebody new like that to basically fill a role. And that kind of sucked, but I did something on my own. So pretty much I started my own technology development company my freshman year of high school where I'd build apps and websites for small businesses and entrepreneurs. And that pretty much gave me the opportunity to open doors for the internships I would get later because it built my portfolio, gave me a ton of experience working with customers and like understanding business requirements and the things that they need in their products. And I pretty much did that for all 4 years of high school, and it got me to where I'm at today. So moving forward, my internship experiences. So basically, my senior year of high school, there was a scholarship program called the Amazon Future Engineer Scholarship, and pretty much they selected 100 kids across the country to receive a $10,000 scholarship per year towards a university, plus a paid internship with Amazon in Seattle, Washington, the first summer of your freshman, so the summer after your freshman year of college. And I ended up being selected as one of those 100 students. In my application, I talked about my company, all my different experiences, and then grades and all that other stuff came into play too as well. And so that really got my foot in the door with internships was at that point. And pretty much what happened was COVID happened at the time. So basically it was a remote internship, and I was placed on a team with another intern within compliance tech. I can't really go into too many details about the team because I signed an NDA and they do some secretive stuff for Amazon. So I really can't talk too much about what they did. But overall, what I did that summer was I built a full stack web app with the other intern to fetch audit data from one data source that like Amazon was using. And I ended up doing so good at that internship, I ended up getting a return offer from Amazon the next summer for the summer after my sophomore year. And one of the things I want to highlight about that is like once you get your first internship, they kind of just start rolling in, whether it's like one at the same company afterwards, like a return offer, or if it's going to a different company at the end of the day. So second internship, I pretty much returned to the same team, and I was given the same project, but this time by myself and to fetch data from two more data sources. So originally, like when I was doing it my freshman year summer, I was mainly front end focused. So I did all the front end stuff with React. And now the second summer, I was doing the front end and the back end with like AWS Lambda and all those different tools. Went pretty well. And I actually went out to Seattle that summer and went to their headquarters and worked from there in the office. And it was a good internship, but I didn't think Amazon fit me like the best. I didn't think it was the company for me. And I realized I'm like, I have another summer before I graduate. Let's try another internship. Let's try a different place. And that's when I ended up finding Oracle. So I worked on a team, the demo services team. So pretty much they'd create like the software that would be used for like salespeople to demo like certain products to like customers. But our project, I was with two other interns, and primarily what we built was a tool, like a full stack web application that allowed managers and developers to track their performance throughout the software development lifecycle. So they would essentially log their task as Jira's in the Jira tool and basically say like, oh, I need to update this button on the website. And they'd give it a certain amount of story points. And then you'd basically track a developer's performance based on how many story points they were closing a week, showing how much work they were getting done. And our project pretty much just made this all-inclusive dashboard that like had the how you rank out of your other team members, how many story points you closed in a certain week, months, and so forth, and like just all these different things that helped made the team's job a lot easier, especially the manager. So my manager really liked that. We ended up finishing the project, and it went pretty well. Now I actually just wrote down the big questions, just so they're there, we can run through them. So basically, number one, why should you participate in a tech internship? I feel like all the internships that I participated in throughout college have like not only helped me like gain technical experience, but like also like business experience. Because like when you're doing a tech internship, you're pretty much given the project. It's like, hey, here's your project. Like, how do you want this to do, like work? You're gonna meet with the customers, your stakeholders, and stuff like that, and basically see like, okay, from a business aspect, how should this work? So it's you get a lot of basically more experience from it than just tech. And I feel like I learned a lot in all my internships and basically learning how to communicate with the like people in different spaces pretty much. Number two, what is the internship application cycle and timeline? So like I said, for my first internship with Amazon, it was through a scholarship program. So it was pretty much just like I got the offer and I just had to wait till the summer for it to start. And same thing when I came back, pretty much got the return offer, went through it. But with Oracle, I basically went through a simple interview process where I actually got reached out to on LinkedIn by one of the recruiters. And she basically said I should give it a shot and apply. So I sent her my resume and I got an email from another recruiter basically saying like, hey, we want to schedule an interview. And I went through a round of 3 interviews with Oracle, where the first one was just a basic one with a hiring manager and you're just talking to them, learning a little bit about each other. And then the second one is with the manager of a team that is looking for an intern. So you basically get to meet who your potential manager could be when you get the internship. And in my second interview, I met my manager, we talked for a bit, and there really was no big technical questions. Like he asked about like what I did at Amazon and my company and all those different things, but it wasn't really like, oh, pull out a whiteboard and like draw some code up for me. Like it wasn't anything like that. And third interview, ended up meeting a few more managers from different teams that were looking for interns. Some of those did have a technical aspect to it. So through that, I had to like basically debug a problem like on the screen and like figure out how to basically come up with the best solution possible. So that's how that went. And then pretty much at the end of that cycle, I got an email from my recruiter and it was like, okay, what interview did you enjoy the most? And I ended up enjoying the second interview the most with who my manager was. And I ended up getting that offer from there. So that's pretty much how the cycle went for me in that aspect of Oracle. And then number 3, where do you find internships? What should you look for? I think honestly, LinkedIn is a big resource that like a lot of people should be using more. I feel like a lot of people do, but I feel like there's more you could put into it. Like always try to improve your LinkedIn profile, improve your resume on there and all those different things and reach out to like people that are in the field that you want to be working in. I feel like that's huge because like that's mainly how I found Oracle after Amazon was just like the people in my network. So I think that's one of the biggest ways to find them is through LinkedIn. And then also career sites, like they were saying, T-Mobile Careers, Expedia, all those, like those are a great way to look as well. What are the differences between paid and unpaid? So basically all my internships were paid and they're paid pretty well. They're really good. I don't really have any experience with unpaid internships. Next, how do you stand out from the crowd with your application and get the role? So one of the biggest things that like I do with my resume and my interviews and stuff is I try not to basically sound like a robot. I feel like that's something that a lot of people do, and it's like sometimes it's the nerves, sometimes it's just like you don't really know what to say at the time. I try to just be human. You know, when you're talking to like your hiring manager, you're talking to somebody who's interviewing you, and they ask you these questions, just don't try to formulate the perfect worded response. Like just say it as it comes out naturally. And I realized that that's helped me a ton because it shows that I can just communicate and not like overthink things at the end of the day. So that'd be my biggest piece of advice to stand out. And then on your resume, like Sean was saying earlier, like basically putting what you've done, like actually in your internships or your experience, not just saying like, oh, I was a front end engineer and I did this, like that was that. Like actually explain like, oh, I used HTML, CSS, and React to build this application that did this, and I designed it this way, and so forth. And then also use a lot of numbers. From what I've realized is like saying you made a process like 75% more efficient, that's huge. It puts value on the work that you've done. And I feel like that'll make you stand out a ton. But that's pretty much all I have. I'm open to questions now.
Fantastic. All right. Do we have some questions in the chat here? Not yet. That was great. I think one of the things you said, I think Sean had mentioned it as well, talking about results and talking about numbers in both different aspects of that being really huge. When I was hiring manager myself, that was very helpful to me, because it didn't just say, yes, I know what this role does. That's great. Tell me what you did. Tell me how you improved it and what you care about in that. We do have a question. Do you recommend completing HackerRank certifications and putting them on your resume?
Yeah, I would. So basically, I think certifications, they've kind of lost their touch a bit when it comes to certain things. I feel like, and this is just like what I've realized, like Sean, Kathy, correct me on this if I'm wrong, but certifications are great, but like your experience is more valued, I would say. Like basically like the projects that you, like if you did like a class project or something and you like explained all the work you did for that, I feel like that on a resume than like the certifications from like HackRank would mean more. Definitely don't like not do it. I feel like it can only help, but I just don't see the value like being too high in certifications usually.
Okay. Other questions? All right. My question for you, Shamari, have you figured out what's next?
Yeah, so pretty much I'm still like looking around and like seeking out like other offers and stuff. Oracle is like on the table, but I am looking
Sure.
around and trying to see where I'll end up going. Not 100% sure yet though. So wherever the wind
That's
takes.
great. I think you probably have options. just guess. Awesome. All right. If you want to stop sharing, we can open up questions for everybody. And some of these are coming in late, but I'm gonna throw them for everybody. Is it wise to jump around from jobs? It's for everybody.
I can start because I've probably been around a little bit longer than everyone. What I have learned is, as you know, when you're first kind of getting into tech, at least specifically for me, it is great to kind of move around to decide where your fit is. And sometimes you don't always know really early on. If you get really lucky and you land that perfect job that meets all of your expectations, then by all means stay there and until you feel like your season has changed and you kind of need something different. But a lot of times you don't. It is really about, I think I want to be doing something, but I'm not quite sure in the day-to-day if that's what I want to do. And nobody is going to downgrade you because you decide you want to go somewhere different. And I would say even in your entire career, careers don't always have to be straight up, right? There are lateral moves. I go to a certain place and then I realize, hey, I want to do something different, or I want to learn something different. So maybe I'll jump over to another team or even a different career and find my way there. I say follow your heart. That's
Sean,
I agree. Definitely follow your passion and what you love to do. And I also think too, there's this misconception that millennials or Gen Zs kind of changed this format or landscape of how we work. But to be honest, it's always been here. I actually read a cool LinkedIn article not too long ago about that, about how people did bounce around then and just not necessarily wait the 25 to 30 years for the gold watch at the end. And then I always recommend, you definitely see that a lot more now. Jump to the places where you can see, you can continue to see career progression and growth. the biggest thing from a recruitment perspective, just make sure that you're adding the relevant things for the roles that you're applying for. So no need to share, all of the things that you've done since you've started your professional career. Highlight the things that is going to be more impactful for that role. And that's for you as a candidate to take a look at that job description, to take a close look there and see what they're looking for and hammer down those specific pieces there and highlight those things. But yeah, bounce around, figure out where your passion is, and figure out where you fit best to make the biggest impact.
All right, I'm going to bounce back to a question that I think is specifically for Shamari. Someone was asking about what was it that Amazon that you found wasn't quite a good fit for you?
Yeah. So honestly, like one of the things I realized is like every company has a different work culture, and Amazon's work culture wasn't the best. To me, me personally, it wasn't the best. I saw a lot of full-time employees going through a lot of stuff there. People staying up pretty late, like being basically like threatened to lose their job, like things like that, things that shouldn't be happening in a company. Not going to go into too many details, but it just didn't look like a bright, outlook for me. Like I couldn't see myself being there full time was the thing. So like basically what I would say is like when you're thinking about that, like if you're working for a company, try to envision yourself in that role after your internship, because it can save you from basically like getting into something that you don't want to be in really.
Can
Fair
I
assessment.
add something to that?
Okay.
Shamari, I just want to give you kind of a word to the wise kind of thing. There are pockets of bad everywhere, right? People are people. Some people are great people, some people are not so great people. Don't always like look at a whole company. And I've never worked at Amazon, and I have heard that sometimes there is a real drive to kind of get things done, and dates matter and things like that. But there are also really good teams in Amazon. And I know people who are working there as well. And I will say at T-Mobile, we try not to have that culture, but I am absolutely positive somewhere in T-Mobile, there is a manager out there who is super driven and probably not a good fit for everyone. So that's all I would say as an individual, because I would hate for any one company to kind of end. It's like, I'm not sending anybody over to Amazon. They're just across the water from us. So come on over to T-Mobile, but keep an open mind. Just maybe find another team.
Yeah, and if I can add something there, Kathy, because I think that's an incredible point there. And it was one of the things I was going to highlight too, which is it's possible anywhere. The second piece there too, and it goes to one of the questions that we talk about is why do an internship? And I'll say this is going to sound super cliche, but you as students and as prospective candidates, you should always be interviewing the company, the firm. So Shamar, you did it the right way. You interned there. You went back for another internship. And for you in your particular situation, you walked away and said, hey, maybe this isn't the best fit for me, whether it's core values, culture, whatever, workload, all of those things like that. But that is the same thing that all folks should try to do, is try to land those internships try to land those opportunities where you can truly get behind those four walls of a company. And then you start to do your interview process. You start to ask the right questions. You start to see if this is a good short-term, long-term, whatever fit for you. But that's the best way to do it. You can't do it just by solely looking at Expedia Group's, T-Mobile's, Amazon's career website. You have to really get in there and start to make an impact. So
yeah,
definitely want to call that piece out.
But you can always come to T-Mobile if you want a job.
Yeah, and I'll add that I had an amazing experience working for one company for a long period of time, and that doesn't mean I worked on one team. I worked on 8 teams. One of those 8 teams was not good. It was a bad fit for me when I moved over there, and I got to move away from that team and ended up being on the founding team for Adobe Creative Cloud. So that was a really good move for me. Kept me around. I had a chance to interview during that time at a lot of external companies, which I recommend you do if you do stick around a place for a long time. Have talks with folks at other companies. It's a good thing. We have someone that wanted to ask a question over voice chat. Ryan?
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me ask my question, Steve. My question is a little more specific, but I was previously a civil engineer for a couple years, and I decided I want to switch into software I previously worked as a project manager, and then I worked as a software engineer for a year and a half. And I managed a small team of developers, and it was a really small company. And I came back to school at university, really good school, and I have a really high GPA, but I'm really having a really hard time finding internships. And it seems very strange because I feel like I check a lot of boxes, but I can't get any interviews. Is that just the state of the economy, or what is someone to do in a position like I don't know. I feel a little silly, but that's okay.
Ryan, are you looking for specific internships, or are you going kind of at the traditional times of the years, or just not getting traction even, during the open application kind of time
Yeah,
frame?
yeah. I'm not getting traction. And I feel like maybe this is something that other people experience too. They might just not be getting traction. So maybe this is a general topic for everyone here. But it was a really small company, so I don't expect it to like grab any headlines or anything like that. But I just felt like I gained a lot of leadership experience, managing other developers, and basically running the whole app development lifecycle from start to finish. So yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys had any good tips, because I am a little confused. That's okay.
Hey, Ryan, so one of the things I may think about for you in your particular case is so quite often when you do see some of these firms, they look at it from what they consider a lens of campus talent or early careers talent, but they also start to look at overall eligibility. So one of the things that you might be challenged with, and you may have to go through, a more unique process for that, is sometimes they look at your level of experience. It depends on what you're highlighting on that resume. In some of those cases, they wouldn't necessarily consider you to be the ideal candidate for an internship that they have at that very moment. It might be a summer internship or something along those lines. I'm gonna just take you all behind a little bit of the walls from a recruitment perspective and someone who managed these programs. One of the things that quite often happen is an internship is probably an opportunity into another job, but that job level is more entry level. If they think you've exceeded that entry level position there, Ryan, one of the things that you might encounter is they might say this internship won't be necessarily valuable for you because they've had historical situations that have highlighted that said, okay, great. One thing that we understand is this person probably is better suited for a SDE 2 or 3 role versus starting off as an SDE 1 and then spending a year or two in an SDE 1 role before they are elevated to another role. I would definitely recommend look for the more unique internship opportunities, the ones that happen out of the cycle, so that fall and spring recruitment cycle, the ones where you can find yourself doing some things more so along the lines maybe of a co-op that happens in the fall or the spring. Or second, and more importantly too, is look at companies that do offer apprenticeships and things like that. That might be your true foot or your step right into that larger firm. And don't look at an apprenticeship as if it's a step back. It's truly a step into that firm and in a great opportunity. I'll say this, most apprenticeship programs have more structure behind them than an actual internship. So definitely don't ignore those as well. So that's some of the information I will share with you.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Question in the chat. I'm a third year at college and have never done any internship program. What should I emphasize on my resume and what can I list as my achievements?
Yeah, so this is something I can probably snatch too. So I'll be quite honest, by that third year, we don't necessarily always expect everyone to have those internships. So shout out to Shamari, who has been able to get those internships a little bit early on, but quite often in traditional format, that third year is where you probably get your first internship. Here for a technical internship, what I would highly recommend is highlighting your technical skills and your academic performance. This is where you really want to position those things and say, hey, I've taken these classes, or more importantly, I've, developed these skills and level where your proficiency level is. Another thing too, especially from this tradition, be willing to learn. When they look to add you to an internship, it's more so a learning and development opportunity for you. So highlight ways that you can highlight that the opportunities that you took on to as a willing learner. So.
Next question, if an internship requires that I relocate, this is specifically asking T-Mobile or Expedia, do they offer assistance?
I would say specifically for T-Mobile, because of the nature of our company and being very geo-dispersed, there probably won't be a huge likelihood they'll ask you to relocate. I do know of very specific instances, and I do believe they do assist, but I would say that's not the norm.
Yeah, and unlike Kathy, because I think she brings up a great point. You may experience this with other firms. For Expedia Group, we have predetermined locations for you already. So we do offer relocation. So for us, there's only 3 locations in the United States that you can go to, and that's Austin, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, and Seattle, Washington. But as Kathy mentioned, I believe you all have more locations available. So they're probably doing a little bit more regional or local specific recruiting in those markets. Whereas for us at Expedia Group, we cast a wide net and we're looking to pull you into those 3 locations.
A question that was submitted previously, what can you expect as far as feedback and improvement, constructive feedback, I guess, while you're in an internship and at the end of the internship? And Shamara, you might have really good answers on this.
Okay. Could you restate that question again?
Sure. So they were asking about basically constructive feedback while you're in it and when you're done. What kind of feedback do you actually get besides potentially an offer?
Yeah, so it really depends on your manager is a big thing, because like you can and it also depends on you as well. So you got to be like outgoing to get that feedback sometimes. So sometimes you'll have to like schedule those one-on-ones with your manager throughout your internship to be like, hey, how am I doing so far performance-wise? And then you'll be able to talk with them and see how your manager thinks you're doing overall. That's a big point. And then also like other developers, other people a part of your team, meeting with those people as resources and stuff and asking them like, hey, how am I doing? That's like one of the biggest ways you'll get feedback throughout the internship. And then at the end, you usually have a final one-on-one with your manager and help let you know completely, like, this is exactly how you did throughout the 12 weeks that you were here.
Thank you. And I think we kind of covered this, but I'll restate it. Is an internship just a job, or is there more to it? Hopefully we've covered this, but I'm gonna let you jump in on what.
Yeah, I could say at T-Mobile, it's a lot more. As I was mentioning, our internships also include speaker series. So you get one-on-one, well, I would say one-on-one, but you get small group connections with our C-suite. You also, they do a lot of training, on different things, specifically whatever area you're in. You might do training or learning on, like in tech, you might learn specific technologies that are used within your team. And then also, there's a lot of just corporate, things that kind of come out of it, meeting management and time management, and how to use your voice, how to excel in a meeting, how to, your executive presence. There's just a number of things I think are really good that come out of internships.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree, Kathy. I think that you hit it right on the head there too. It's just a lot of these internship programs are built around a program. And that program piece is to have those speaker series to give you a buddy, someone who's probably a new graduate, a mentor, someone who's a little bit more further along in their career. But even a little bit more importantly, just building around developing those skills. So as I mentioned, Peter, what you see is quite often you see those third-year students going into a traditional summer internship. They really don't have much corporate exposure, not even experience. I'm just talking about exposure in a corporate space. That's where the opportunity, we're truly trying to help develop those things. So as Kathy mentioned, some of the things that have probably nothing to do with your job, like how do you communicate in meetings? How do you manage these things? Those are some of the things that you'll probably see in an internship as well, because they're also trying to give you that exposure to develop in that space. Because it's expected to be a little bit of a foreign place for folks who haven't been in that space. I'll tell you, my first job in corporate, there was a lot going on that first day. So I get it for anyone who's also walking into an internship in a similar position.
Yeah, and just a quick thing to add on to that, like I completely agree with Sean and Kathy. Like exactly, it's more than a job at the end of the day. And another big thing that I really enjoyed like during my internships was like not just like the full-time people you meet, but the other interns. Like that network that you make with like people the same age as you or a few years apart that are like going through the same thing you're going through. It helps. Like it's a good network, it's a good support network to talk to other like people and be like, hey, like we're both doing this together. We're both learning as we go. You're not alone at the end of the day. So I feel like you definitely get a good experience out of that. That's more than just like a job.
All right, we have a question in the chat. Graduate student just enrolling into business analytics program. I see. If you do a project on the companies and put it on the resume, will it increase the rate to get an internship? You might want to read this one. It's a lot of detail. Good question.
I would probably say no on just the surface of it. I do think it can be something that attracts people to and probably want to explore more, but I'd say probably just on the very surface level of it, it probably won't rise you above anyone else. But I do think that's a unique thing as well. So it's a really good question.
A related question that was submitted previously that's a little more directly just about the application process and finding where to go. What kinds of research do you do ahead of time on these companies as you're applying for them and preparing for your interviews, say?
I totally recommend that you, like I said, for me, and this could just be solely because I'm in a recruiter seat, I think it's a two-way street. I think you need to definitely do your research. And I'm not telling you to go do the more expansive things, but what are the things that you're passionate about outside of that? Go kind of just browse their career website or their website in general, just to see how they play an active part in there. One thing I will also say is you typically see a company's core values or competencies on a website. Those truly, giving y'all a lot here, this is a gem. Those things truly align to what you see in their recruitment process. So try to suit yourself and find yourself a way around it. With that, and excuse my language, don't be a smart ass about it. Don't tailor your resume completely around that, or don't tailor your interview piece around that. Be authentic, but know what those core values are. What is the company all about? And make sure that you just have that handy. It could make for a very interesting side point of an interview.
And as far as, after that interview, actually, I would say this is before that. This was a question on the role of referrals. So someone that works there, you've worked previously with someone. We know that matters in upper level jobs. Does it matter in these internship programs and landing those internships?
Short answer is yes, they do. With that said, it's the same thing. I probably got hundreds, if not thousands of referrals already. So, you know, companies, they do try to mix it up. So it depends on how that company works. But yeah, we most definitely consider the company referral. So that could be an opportunity for you to get an additional look. I wouldn't necessarily guarantees anything beyond that though. But we do look to hire referrals, referrals from previous interns or previous grads, current grads, and definitely folks throughout the other parts of the organization as well. So referrals can definitely be a added benefit to you.
I would say the same thing. I think referrals kind of get your foot in the door and get you visibility. But at the end of the day, I think you still are competing on, you know, what you're bringing to the table. So you have to show that value.
Yes, thank you for shouting out that point, Kathy, because it does nothing but that. I've literally pushed back on C-suite executives because they referred someone just wasn't qualified. To be honest, it doesn't mean anything beyond that, and I'll tell you, in most cases, they understand.
Question from the chat on the importance of a cover letter for an internship. And if it is important, how should I outline that cover letter? How should I outline the cover letter beside the resume?
I would say no. Cover letters just aren't that important unless it is something, if you're switching careers, I can see the value behind it. Outside of that, if you're going through those very traditional platforms, probably not needed. So I'll say that.
Yeah, I've personally never made a cover letter or had to use one really. It's never really like asked about or looked at from my experience that I've seen.
In my opinion, I guess, Sean, this is for you, maybe. I actually believe that the thank you notes have had more value than the cover letters.
Wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, thank you notes go a long way. Yeah, the cover letter, I'm giving y'all a lot here. In most cases, recruiters, they're looking to get to a certain thing. So if the cover letter is just pretty much a summary of your resume, it's not needed. If it is definitely to highlight you switching careers, we can then say, oh, okay, cool, this is why this is on their resume. But those thank you notes, not only to the recruiter, but also to the people that you interviewed, are great. So let's say, for instance, you do that interview and you don't have those people that interviewed with you email, send them all a personal email via your recruiter. Do it within 24 hours too, I would say, is ideal. And if you do happen to interview on a Friday, definitely have it delivered that Monday morning into that inbox. But that definitely will give a boost. And it's a quick reminder too. I can give you a short note on the best thank you notes too. And just don't say thank you for spending time with me. Do a quick summary of the interview as well. Bring it back to something that you both talked about, especially if it's something that you all agreed on. So whether it's, you know, how you perform a task or something that you just aligned with more, do that reminder for them when they do get that thank you note. They say, oh, you know what, that was awesome. When I talked to Kathy, when I talked to Shamari, this is exactly what we talked about. I remember that piece. So definitely highlight those things.
Yes, I'll add to that with the thank you note that when I was interviewing, I had an engineer interview, and 75% of it was spectacular. 25% was a technical walkthrough we did that kind of just fell apart a little bit. They sent a thank you and said, hey, you know, I know that wasn't ideal. And this was, you know, within, I would say, 6 hours. They had an amazing walkthrough of where they could go and what they could do and what they could do with it. And I'm like, and they put in the detail. They explained what they were doing and what they would actually do in a real scenario, and who, you know, and it was, they got in. That was a game changer for me, because it wasn't just, hey, thanks. You know, that's the easiest thing to do, but it is worth the time, definitely. Back to the cover letter. This is a career changer from the military. Is that still a value or not?
I would say, yeah. In that situation, definitely. I will say this too, though, William. I do think some of the military resumes do stand out amongst others. So we do probably have that idea or view that you've definitely been part of the military, but it can definitely just tell a little bit more of your story. So yeah, cover letters are truly ideal in situations where you're making a career shift, or if you are coming from the military, things like that. And also thank you for your service as well.
I will call out also that a lot of these larger companies have specific veterans portals. They're not the only way to get in, but they will help. So, and you might get specific assistance in that. So I would definitely take a look at that. All right. Yeah, well, you already addressed one of the questions I had from the previous audience, which was, what do you do after an interview? So the thank you note seemed to be the highlight there. Is there anything else?
No, I would definitely say the thank you note is the key piece there. I would say for like that traditional early careers talent, just know it's a whirlwind. So work patiently with your recruiters. But if you definitely hit that, I will say week and a half, 2 weeks without hearing something, it is okay to send a reminder note at that point there, just to kind of get a quick update on your overall status, things like that. Also, too, another recommendation as well, if you have moved internally within that company's HES, you may see an update too on that career candidate website. So whether it's via Amazon, Oracle, Expedia, T-Mobile, whichever one, you may see some movement there. But if you do find yourself, I would say definitely inching closer to 2 weeks without hearing anything back, definitely it's okay to send a reminder at that point there, a gentle nudge. So.
Also, I would also say on a personal note, reflect back, like what resonated during your interview, and if you got the same question another time, how would you answer it? Or if it didn't, sometimes I've come out of interviews and it's like, just didn't click, I didn't answer that question the way I thought I would, and or like given kind of without time to think about it, I didn't nail the question, right? And so sometimes I have to just jot notes to myself to say, how would I approach this in the future? That's another thing. And then also same thing as Sean mentioned, if 2 weeks go by and you haven't heard anything, reiterate why you're value add, in your notes, just checking kind of that soft nudge, and hey, I'm just going to raise this back up, why I'm your candidate, so believe in yourself and kind of put it out there. If you don't believe in yourself, then no one else will. That's my motto right now.
And emphasis too, Kathy, on that soft, that gentle nudge. Make sure it's gentle, gentle. Don't jump too or bark too loud in that email. But yeah, gentle nudge is always appreciated.
Yes, knowing that the person on the other side is very busy and they're overwhelmed, and so if they take a little more time than you like, understand that. And I think most students who've gone through the application process know that it is not necessarily speedy. The volumes, especially at larger companies, are high. Woo. And yeah, patience is good. All right, doesn't look like we have any more chat questions. I have kind of a wrap-up question for everyone, which is, if there's one thing that you would give for someone tomorrow, for these folks that want to get an internship to start doing tomorrow, what is the one thing? Yes, you gave lots of advice, all sorts of good things, but if there's this will change you if you change this aspect tomorrow, what is that one thing?
I would say know your value and believe in yourself.
Yeah, I would say two things. One of them I gave you all a tip on is, first, when you go through the interview process, don't take it as too much pressure. Keep in mind, it's a two-way street. If you don't feel that this is going to be a good fit for you, that's fine. And it may be a better fit for you down the line. And second, and more importantly, too, is no matter where you are in the interview process, and it coincides with my first point, is always be your true, authentic self. Do not play to just get the job. And I know that's a tough position for a lot of people because you're lucky to get your foot in the door. But I kid you not, if you know it's not going to be a good fit and you accept that job, 2 months later, it still won't be a good fit. You probably still won't be happy. The best thing to do is to be your true, authentic self at all times. But yeah, feel free. And also to, connect with me on LinkedIn if you all have any additional questions. It is a little busy season for me, so I might be a little delayed, but most definitely to support you all.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Kathy and Sean. One of the biggest things I would say is like imposter syndrome is bad amongst a lot of people, like feeling like you're not good enough, that you can't actually like fill a certain role. Like I know a lot of people probably think like that. I think like that. Like it's times where I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna get this. I'll walk into an interview and be like, I have no shot at this. This is a crazy role. Like even though the experience is there, like everybody gets it. Like it happens. And like my biggest piece of advice would be don't let imposter syndrome take over. Like you can do it. It can be done. Like you have to believe in yourself and you can make it through and everything will be okay at the end of the day.
All right. I want to give a huge thank you to Kathy, Sean, Jamari for coming here today, and for all of you that stuck around. For all of you that are watching on video, thank you for making it through that as well. Yeah, I will be collecting the slides from you folks, and I'll send that out. I'll send out that survey and hopefully have this video posted by the end of the week as well. Please, absolutely, all of you in attendance, but especially the speakers, feel free to reach out to me. Yeah, I'm happy to work with you on projects you have going on. You've done me a wonderful favor here. I am always happy to do the work and help you all as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thanks.